The flavor of your consciousness is determined by oxidized electrons. We usually think of thought as pure information processing, but what if the underlying chemical balance dictates how that information feels? Your experience, that distinct sense of self or momentary ego dissolution, might not just be about you perceive. It might be about the precise metabolic energy state sustaining your network. Think of synaptic redox potential like a dimmer switch for reality. Small shifts in cellular electron equilibrium change whether signals fire with high coherence or dissolve into noise. This isn't spirituality talking. It is chemistry defining qualia. The science is moving past viewing consciousness as a simple switch being flipped or turned off. Instead, researchers are suggesting that our subjective experience, the quality of feeling things, is dictated by electrochemical balance within the brain cells themselves. Imagine your awareness not as a lamp, but as a delicate chemical reaction in an ecosystem. If the redox potential shifts too far into stress or toward excessive stability, the subtle complexity vanishes. How cellular buffering systems maintain that specific flavor of being us, allowing complex thought to flow without crashing under its own weight. This dynamic equilibrium is where deep intuition finds its verifiable mechanism. What if your sense of self isn't a static thing? What if it's actually fluctuating, like an electrochemical battery whose charge level dictates your perception? We used to treat consciousness as purely electrical or informational, a light switch being on or off. But this research suggests the quality of that awareness depends entirely on microscopic chemistry. Specifically, how balanced electron flow is within your neurons. Think of a finely tuned chemical equilibrium. When it shifts just slightly, the entire subjective flavor changes. We are looking at transient cellular redox states influencing perceptual stability, which means something nobody expected for our understanding of ego dissolution or spiritual transformation. It's more than just energy. It's a flavor. This research suggests that what we call self-boundary awareness, or even ego dissolution, isn't some mystical event. It's an electrochemical shift in our cells. Think of consciousness not as a lamp being switched on, but like adjusting the saturation dial on a massive color palette using electron flow equilibrium. These subtle shifts in oxidative state dictate how stable your sense of self is against external noise. Some studies claim these changes are purely metabolic artifacts, while others point to radical alterations in subjective perception that defy reductionism entirely. If this redox dynamic controls memory resilience and awareness depth, what happens when the balance tips? We need to look at the extreme edges of this system next. Forget simple on or OFF switches for consciousness. What if our state isn't just about firing neurons, but about chemical balance? Think of your perception like a finely tuned engine that needs perfect fuel. Redox potential is the difference between smooth operation and total system failure. We are moving beyond mere signal transmission into how electron flow dictates experience itself. The subtle changes in cellular oxidation can nudge us toward moments where the sense of self softens, almost dissolving the boundary you thought was unbreakable. It's like turning a high-speed stream of consciousness into an open ocean view. But what governs that critical shift from stable perception to total systemic flux? We all assume conscious experience is just information processing, a stream of data running through wetware. That's comfortable, right? But what if it's not about signal intensity at all? What if subjective reality isn't a stable operating system, but something far more volatile? Think of awareness like a delicate electrochemical circuit. The flavor of your thought process is dictated by its oxidation state. Not whether the light is on or off, but precisely how much energy flows through it. This idea suggests that transient shifts in cellular balance, in redox buffering systems, don't just affect brain function, they fundamentally reshape who you are right now. And what happens when those balances shift past a certain tipping point? We've treated consciousness like a voltage, right? Like an electrical switch flipping from off to on. But what if it's not about the firing at all? What if the quality of your experience, the deep resonance you feel when everything finally makes sense, is actually determined by chemistry? Imagine tuning an antique instrument. Tiny variations in humidity change how the sound vibrates, right? Synaptic Redox Dynamics are that tuner. They dictate the internal equilibrium needed to stabilize perception itself. It suggests selfhood isn't a constant broadcast signal, but rather a delicate chemical state of balanced electron flow. And this leads us to a strange contradiction. If our most profound moments require perfect metabolic stability, how do we account for radical shifts in awareness? Stop thinking of consciousness as an on or off switch. Instead, consider it like a perfect chemical engine needing precise electron flow equilibrium. It's not just about being awake, it is literally about the electrochemical signature governing your perceived reality. When cellular balance shifts, when that redox potential changes slightly, your subjective flavor shifts too. Think of how changing the temperature in a complex chemical bath alters its properties, yet the underlying chemistry remains the same. Your state of awareness is simply sensing those internal energetic nuances. The takeaway isn't intervention, it's observation. Start paying attention to your baseline stability and metabolic rhythm. That subtle equilibrium holds the key to profound mental clarity. The full research archive is at jmthomasofficial.com. The ultimate conclusion isn't that your mind is separate from chemistry. It suggests they are just two sides of the same complex electrochemical process. Think of consciousness not as software running on hardware, but as water flowing through pipes. The quality of the flow, the redox potential, determines its character. We can learn to stabilize our internal cellular environment, moving beyond fleeting emotional states toward a sustained clarity that resists environmental noise. That balance is where subjective depth lives. The full research archive is at jmthomasofficial.com.